Manx Radio's Update with Lewis Foster.
Fast am I, good evening, it's 5:30 and this is Update for Monday the 27th of November 2023 from Manx Radio. Lewis Foster here, bringing you a 30-minute look at the latest news on the Isle of Man, plus background to the news, Manx Sport, Business, Sea Watch and travel updates and the newsmakers in person. This evening, police find more than 200 cars with defects. Will we see the end of paper tax discs? Criticism of government's department plans. A timeline for the new Castle Rushen High School. And what are FC Isle of Man's chances of promotion?
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
Now with the time at 29 minutes before 6 with the Update News headlines. Fast am I, Siobhan Fletcher.
Fast am I. Police have launched an appeal for witnesses following a serious assault which took place over the weekend. It happened in the area of Princes Avenue in Douglas between the hours of midnight on Friday and 8 a.m. on Saturday. Police are now asking the public to check any doorbell or motion sensor dashcam footage in the area. Elsewhere, a pedestrian who was injured in a road traffic collision in Peel has been transferred to a hospital in the UK. Police say it's due to the nature of his injuries. The incident, which involved the man and a single vehicle, happened on Friday just before 7 on Albany Road. And the Ronnesway Met Office has issued a yellow weather warning for icy patches. It will come into force this evening at 7 and remain in place until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Further afield, Qatari mediators have confirmed Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend a humanitarian pause in fighting in Gaza for another 2 days. Bombs stopped 4 days ago to allow for aid and the release of hostages. Greater Manchester's Mers told the COVID inquiry he thinks his region was put under tough restrictions as punishment for arguing with the UK government. And the UK has finished fourth in the 21st Junior Eurovision Song Contest, with host nation France taking first place. They're your headlines. I'll have the news for you at 6.
Secure tomorrow today with Man Benham's guidance on powers of attorney and more. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Gurmayed, thank you, Siobhan. Now, it's certainly turning colder because there's a yellow weather warning in place for icy patches overnight tonight, in effect from 7 o'clock this evening until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, so be careful on the early commute. Ground temperatures are expected to fall below zero, leading to a risk of icy patches forming in areas that are damp or wet. Parts of the island most at risk are sheltered valleys and areas above around 1,200 feet. More generally, turning cloudy this evening with some clear spells developing for a time overnight as the moderate to fresh northerly wind veers northwest and falls light, temperatures dropping to around 3 degrees. Risk of frost at first tomorrow, soon becoming a fine day with sunny spells and light to moderate northeast winds. There's a chance of a few showers in the evening as the wind backs to the northwest with a maximum temperature of 8 degrees. Sunrise tomorrow at 9 minutes past 8, sunset in the afternoon at 3 minutes past 4.
Manx Glass and Glazing are proud to be an approved contractor with Construction Isle of Man. Call the team on 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
Now, the Treasury Minister says it would be very difficult to bring in monthly car tax payments without making big changes to the current system. Alex Allinson has confirmed funds have been given to the Department of Infrastructure to explore more payment options. He told Manx Radio's Phil Gaughan it would also mean the end of paper tax discs.
We've been talking for several years about the validity of still having paper discs on your car, which have to be read by police officers, and then make sure that people have actually paid for their driving for the driving vehicle licence. In the UK, they've got rid of these and adopted a more automatic system with number plate recognition. And it is, I think, the policy of DOI to look at that and investigate how we could do that a little bit better. One, to cut down on costs. Two, to ensure that everyone's paying their way. And so some money has gone from the Transformation Fund to the DOI to flesh out exactly what that would look like on a much smaller scale on the Isle of Man, because we need a separate system to the UK, but also how that could be provided in the right way. And then develop that policy, take that through Tynwald as a capital scheme, and actually explain it to the Manx public.
The reason for this, of course, is to save money, because processes that have formerly been done with various stamps and things that at the post office, and there are substantial amounts of money that can be saved from this.
It's not just about saving money, although I completely agree with you that moving away from a paper-based form of licensing it does save money, but also for a long period of time, DOI have been talking about you being able to pay by either quarterly or monthly instalments. That's very difficult when you're giving out a bit of paper that has to last. Do you need to replace that every month? Do you need to replace that every year? By having a much more automatic system, you can bring in much easier payment systems as well to it. So again, it's that service to the public as well, I think, that's really important, driving this forward, rather than just saving government money.
Are government plans meaningless nonsense or a valiant attempt to keep departments accountable? The Speaker of the House of Keys, Juan Watson, has been criticising them in Tynwald. The Department of Education's was one plan he mentioned, and he and Education Minister Julie Edge have been speaking to Manx Radio.
Well, I think from the Ireland plan down, I'm concerned that government seems to fail to put good plans together. It doesn't have objectives that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. It uses KPIs that are not necessarily directly linked back to the objective that's stated, and they use the writing of plans and strategies as a proxy for achievement, but of course that means nothing to the man in the street. So I think that there is an improvement generally needed in these plans in terms of what departments are actually going to deliver in real terms, rather than just creating paper, which seems to be what's done at the moment. So hence my comment that if you want to put something off for a year, you write a plan. If you want to put it off for the whole administration, write a strategy.
The difference with the annual plans and department plans that come forward to Tynwald requested that annual department plans came to Tynwald. They are only received, they're not actually approved, they're just received, and that's the process that was agreed by Tynwald, so we're adhering to that. Could it be improved? I'm sure anything that's delivered can always be improved, but we do have a department strategic plan, but annually we're having to pull out from that and deliver a departmental plan for Tynwald through that annual process. And then of course we've got the island plan as well. So our strategic plan, island plan really are the key documents for the department, but then we're going down to this more operational level. It's an operational plan really. This is what will be delivered this year, and it's got target dates, and there has been some slippage, but we won't be the only department to have slippage. I've always invited all honourable members, if they can criticise the department, please come down and we'll show you exactly what's happening. Not many members take me up on that.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Braddon Commissioner's new leisure centre is opening in the new year. Centre manager Cassie McAllister says she's looking forward to welcoming the public to the facility.
Yeah, so the 17th of November has passed, so the construction team have been very helpful and helping tenants fit out. There's a lot of work going on there. There has been a couple of curveballs with the car park, so access has been tricky, but they are trying to be accommodating and work around that. We were never going to open in November. That is when we were going to start moving in and tenants fitting out. That is still the case. It's not a firm handover date because of the access issues, but as I said, the construction team have had some curveballs, and the groundworks team that are there are amazing. When they're under pressure, they push, and boy do they push. So it was always expected to be sort of December opening. Whether it's worth opening for Christmas week, the tenants have kind of decided that's probably not the best time of year to open, probably not viable. So we're looking to throw the doors open in January. As I said, the sports hall has started to be booked out from them, as has the function room, and there'll be a number of businesses opening progressively during January. There's been loads of questions about the pharmacy. They are sort of a almost semi-separate type of unit at the front of the building. They're expected to sort of fit out from mid-January, so expect opening later in January for them.
More than 200 drivers have been handed notices by police this month after their vehicles were found to have defects. It's part of the Isle of Man Constabulary's annual winter vehicle check campaign. Inspector Michael Taylor is from the Roads Policing Unit.
A lot of people think that we only do vehicle checks during the winter months. That's not the case. We do this all year round. It becomes more clear during the autumn and winter months because obviously the most common defect that we see is cars with headlights out. And what we want to do is to ensure that people's vehicles are fit and safe for the road. The most common defect that we see is cars with headlights out. We do get vehicles that are extremely unroadworthy, not fit to be on the road in any way, shape or form. Thankfully, they are very few and far between. So to give you an idea, so far, we've stopped 440 vehicles in the past month. And of them vehicles, 213 have been issued what's known as a VDRS notice. That's a Vehicle Defect Rectification Scheme. When we stop somebody and they've got a light out, we will stop them, engage with them, ascertain whether they have done any vehicle checks and stuff. And we try and educate them at the roadside and talk to them about doing vehicle checks and the importance of it. And we give them a VDRS, which is basically get the light bulb replaced and repaired. You bring it to a garage, that's stamped, and then that's returned to us, and there's no further action. The vast majority of people that we speak to are appreciative of the advice and education that the officers give. So that's how we deal with it. But then also under the Road Traffic Act, we can stop any vehicle on the road to ensure that the driver has a driving licence and insurance. During the past month, for the winter vehicle checks, we have seized 13 vehicles, for most of which are uninsured. And for us, that is quite serious. You know, for anybody who's been in the unfortunate position to have been hit by an uninsured driver, it is quite a stressful process. So where people haven't got tax and insurance, we do seize the vehicles.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Well, there's more disruption to the sailing schedule tonight and tomorrow. The Steam Packet says it's due to tidal restrictions in Douglas Harbour. This evening's Manxman sailing from Douglas to Heysham, originally scheduled for 7:45, will now leave at 8:45, so you're asked to check in before 8 o'clock. The overnight return departing an hour later as well at 3:15. If you're on that one, get there before 2:30. And it's the same picture into tomorrow morning. The 8:45 sailing to Heysham now departing half an hour later at 9:15. Please check in no later than 8:30 in the morning. Changes to the schedule there throughout into Wednesday morning, so any I've not mentioned, you can find the details on the Steam Packet website.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
Now, staying united as a group will be key for FC Isle of Man's continued push for promotion this season, following an agonising late defeat at home to Cheadle Town in the NWCFL Premier Division on Saturday. Ravens midfielder Joe Quayle gives his thoughts on the weekend's defeat and the squad's chances going into the rest of the campaign.
I think we defended quite well throughout, but it was one of them games where whoever got the first goal was going to win the game, really. There wasn't many chances, but their keeper pulled off a few good saves, and then ultimately we got punished at the end. So yeah, it's quite frustrating going away with nothing, but we go again next Saturday and try push on, get to the playoffs, in the playoff zone. So hopefully we can get a win next Saturday and get a good crowd down again. It's good. It's a lot. It's a big commitment, you know, like taking time off work, working around, training, matches, midweek matches. But like I say, we've got a run at home now, so I think if we can get a few wins on the board and start pushing for the playoffs, I think that'll put us in good stead going forward, yeah. I think we've been doing well, but obviously tonight it's just quite frustrating. We didn't really deserve to lose, but we didn't really deserve to win either. But performances have been quite good. Obviously I've been quite in and out of the team, but for various different reasons. But yeah, I think going forward we should be good and trying to push for them playoffs. We just need to stick together, really, because can't get too down on ourselves because the games come thick and fast. So we've still got, I think, 23 games left. We're halfway through, so yeah, we can't feel sorry for ourselves. Just got to get up and go again.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
An interim receiver has taken charge of a financial business in Douglas. Sean Cowper reports.
Nicholas Holzall of PricewaterhouseCoopers will be responsible for the affairs, business and property of Wilton IOM Limited. The appointment has been made by the Isle of Man High Court following an application by the Financial Services Authority. As interim receiver, Mr Holzall will have full power to collect assets from the company. A court order confirmed he'll also be able to require any present or former director of the company to provide documents or writings. The FSA issued a public statement on the matter, saying it's in the public interest to do so. The regulator says Wilton continues to be licensed with the authority to conduct corporate and trust services.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
Elsewhere in the UK, the Governor of the Bank of England has raised concerns over economic growth, warning again that interest rates will not be cut in the foreseeable future. Andrew Bailey said he was concerned over the UK economy's potential to grow after the UK government's forecaster slashed its growth outlook, in part due to high inflation and interest rates. For a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300.
An estimated timeline's been published for the new Castle Rushen High School. It's thought the building could be completed in March 2029. Amy Griffiths has more.
Built in 1961, the current building has served the community for over 60 years. It started with 480 students, but extensions here and there have been added over time, and the school now caters for nearly 900, almost doubling capacity in that time. Money was first set aside in the 2016 budget for the build, with £50,000 allocated for initial design work. It was thought the project as a whole would cost between 30 and 40 million. Despite being described as essential then, a new school was still expected to be 7 years away, i.e. this year. Since then, multiple budgets have promised to invest in the new school. To date, £2,725,000 has already been spent on the new facility, including supposedly design plans that were nearing completion in 2019. Current Education Minister Julie Edge has now published a new timeline for the work, including hiring a new design team. It's hoped the design phase will begin again at the end of February next year, once that new team's been appointed. Final Tynwald approval will then be sought for the designs in February 2026, and construction's likely to take 30 months, with a potential completion date of March 2029. Ms Edge has stressed that these timelines are only estimations at this stage. You can see the full schedule for the work at manxradio.com.
Manx Radio Sport.
Rhianne Evans has your sports news this evening. Faster my, Rhianne.
Faster my, good evening. Starting in athletics, and a number of local athletes were flexing their endurance muscles across the water at the weekend in the Liverpool Cross Challenge. More than 400 runners were competing in the senior women's race, including Sarah Astin, who was representing Belgrave Harriers, and Manx Harriers' Laura Dickinson. Astin finished in 18th place with a solid run, although expressed her disappointment with the result afterwards. Laura Dickinson had a great run to finish in the top third of the field in 139th. In the senior men's race, Ollie Lockley came in 59th and Jamie Hayes came in 355th. Ryan Curran was flying the Manx flag in the under-20s men's, bagging himself a 138th place finish. And elsewhere, the under-17s men's race featured local runners Sam Perry and Kai Lewis, who were both members of Northern AC. Each of them put out a strong performance to finish 13th and 39th respectively, in a field containing the best cross-country runners in the age group in the UK. Moving on to rugby now, and wins for Ramsey and Western Vikings in their Cheshire Plate ties raised a spectre of an all-Manx Plate final. Ramsey beat Moore 34-27 on the road to seal their place in the final skipper, and Vikings brushed aside a travel delay to brush Aldershot aside 45-21. Vikings play Port Sunlight next Saturday, and a win will see them face Ramsey in the final, which is on a date to be fixed in February. And in netball, the island's future netball stars got the opportunity to show their skills against new opposition at the weekend. The Isle of Man's under-13s, under-15s, under-17s and under-19s squads took on their Cheshire counterparts in another successfully hosted tournament.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Well, looking over at the airport, flights in and out relatively on time this afternoon. Just a 6 o'clock Liverpool Loganair flight to come, and the 8 o'clock to London Gatwick. No problems expected there so far. On the roads in Glenmay until the 8th of December, the Aracy Road is closed from Glenmay to the Shoulder Road for resurfacing. In Douglas, a section of Switzerland Road is closed for construction work. In Braddon, until the 1st of December, temporary lights on Core Road at the Isle of Man Business Park roundabouts 24 hours a day for drainage work. In Colby, until the 11th of December, temporary lights on the main road at the junction with the Ballakill Ferrick Road 24 hours a day for water main work. In Port Erin, until Friday, temporary lights on Station Road at the Ballafesson Road junction 24 hours a day for gas main work. In Sulby, until the 15th of December, the Clannock Road is closed for resurfacing. And Laxey, until tomorrow, temporary lights on the main road near Church Hill 24 hours a day for gas main work. And you'll have heard in the news with Siobhan today, the Mountain Road will be closed tomorrow between Burrell Park, Ramsey and the Bungalow from 9:30am to 3:30 in the afternoon for emergency drainage work.
Quayside Tyres and Service Centre. Spread your payments interest-free. Get more with
Now, comedian David Baddiel has shared what he's described as a heartbreaking letter written by his grandmother to the internment camp on the Isle of Man, where his grandfather was being held in 1940. Ernst Fabian was being held in the Central Promenade camp in Douglas as an enemy alien. Beth Espy reports.
The letter explains how, as a Jewish couple, his grandparents were expelled from Nazi Germany. His grandfather, having once been held in a concentration camp, found himself in internment once again, this time here. The camps on the Isle of Man and in England and the Isle of Wight were set up by the British government to keep those deemed as posing a threat captive, many of whom were refugees. The Central Promenade Camp, an all-male camp, opened in June 1940 and held around 2,000 internees, many of them Italians. In the letter to the UK Home Office, Baddiel's grandmother begs for her husband to be medically examined with a view to him being released, stating that he suffered from grave periodic attacks of nervous paralysis of the vocal cords. She explains how, during their previous life in Germany, Ernst was under constant medical attention, and the doctor warned the condition might develop into chronic paralysis. Pleading to the Under-Secretary of State, Otti explains how they arrived in the UK in August 1939 with an affidavit for the USA, where they hoped to emigrate as soon as possible. Her husband's interment, however, left her alone with a 1-year-old baby. Having been moved to the island in May 1940, Ernst would already have been interned for 5 months by the time the letter was written. It would be more than a year before he was released, with Baddiel saying his grandfather was interned for a total of 18 months. He says his grandparents never made it to the US, adding there has never been any sign or even talk from the British government of compensation for those 100,000 or so utterly unjustified lengthy internments.
A boy with type 1 diabetes says he's hopeful for the future of treatment options provided on the island. Mayan Watterson is 14 and campaigning for further investment in technology like hybrid closed loops. Mayan and his mum Danielle made a presentation at Tynwald.
It was a really good turnout. A lot of people came. They all enjoyed it. They all seemed to not fully understand how crucial this is, and a lot of them didn't realise how impactful it is in our lives. They all came up at the end and they were all expressing how they all want to do something to help those children who have type 1 diabetes and are in situations where they're struggling with it or they just need overall support, and it was just good so that we could get awareness out to people.
Seeing how this tech works for Mayan and what a support it is for him and for the wider family, that's got to be the gold standard. Having this closed loop system that can take the pressure off not only the diagnosed but their carers and their support system as well, it's invaluable.
It's never easy and it will never be easy. Even with this new tech, it's hard at times. Like when you have these hypos and highs, you still feel it, you still know what it's like. So it can be tough, but there is always an end to it, whether that be this new system which takes away 99.9% of the stress and how much you have to put into it. If that is the case, then that's definitely what I would have to say.
And an educational charity, Junior Achievement Isle of Man, believes a volunteer loyalty card will not only benefit its volunteers, but the businesses supporting it. Antoinette Taylor is a volunteer manager.
So the way it works is we give the volunteers, as I say, who are active. So by active, they have to actually engage with us and deliver the programmes in the schools for us. They receive a card. It's like a little credit card. And on presentation, in the businesses that are participating on this scheme, they will receive the deals and discounts that are available. We've quite a different range of businesses, from restaurants, coffee shops, a gym. We've got a clinic on there. We have a blind company on there. And it's a work in progress. So what I'm saying is, if any of your listeners would be interested in becoming involved in the card and being a participating business, to please contact me. This is a valuable way. It's a practical, valuable way for them. And it's also, I believe it's a really good collaboration with the businesses as well. And they also can see the value in it, because it's going to increase footfall into their businesses too. So they're giving something back to the volunteers. The volunteers are in turn giving something back to them by going and visiting their businesses. So it's really a win-win situation for everybody involved.
That's it for Update, compiled from the resources of the Manx Radio newsroom. Thanks to newsreader Siobhan Fletcher and producer Amy Griffiths.